Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Helen Pethybridge is the founder of Chiltern Coaching. She says that when it comes to networking, you have to remember that it's a two-way street. You need to give in order to get. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast today, Helen.
It's an absolute pleasure, Liz. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, you've been a coach for 10 years, but I know that's not what you've always done. So tell me a bit about your career path. What did you do at school and then at university?
Right. Well, school, A-levels, I did a bit of a mix. I did geography, economics and maths, with the intent to go and do geography at university. Managed to sort of flunk those A-levels a little bit. So, on the day of results, managed to get myself a place to do geology at University of Leeds. So I liked the physical geography rather than the human geography. So it was only a little sidestep to go and do geology. And really enjoyed the course and loved Leeds. So, yeah.
And did you go on and do anything with the geology after you'd qualified in that?
No. I did a summer job to test out whether I would follow a career in geology in a geoengineering company and testing samples, and it was really quite boring. So I decided that wasn't for me. And I liked the kind of fossil, microfossil side of things, and a lot of the roles, the commercial roles in that were in oil, which meant, Aberdeen or Saudi, neither of which particularly attracted me.
No.
So I followed what had always been a thought in terms of career, even from leaving school, which was to follow the path into HR. So I applied for HR roles. Not easy to get when you're sitting there with a geology degree. They didn't quite see the link, surprisingly. So I actually did my Institute of Personnel Development qualification full-time immediately in the year after uni, and then got a job on a grad rotation program, having got HR qualified.
Yeah. So what was it that appealed about HR to you?
It's a fluke, I would say, how I actually heard about it. We got one of those forms back from school as you chose your A-level subjects, and it said, what career do you want to do? And I went home, I can picture myself, I sat in the kitchen and I said, Mum, what on earth am I going to write against this? And she said, oh, the immortal words, which are totally wrong, but you're good with people, that is right. Why don't you go into HR? Now, my mum knew nothing about business. How she even knew about HR, I have no idea. And it's definitely not recommended for people who are good with people, because there's a lot that's quite tough about HR. But it piqued my interest, and I think the fact that it's so integral to the business, and I think that's why I've loved it, is in all the organizations I worked in, the power trio, if you like, of that business was the general manager, the lead finance person, and the lead HR person. So you're very central to the business, you know what's happening, because business doesn't operate without people.
Yeah.
So being central to the business and helping it grow through having the right people in the right place at the right time is never a dull day.
Yeah. So tell me who you then went to work for.
So I did my grad training with a company called Nortel. They're actually a Canadian telecoms company, now no longer, sadly. But that's where I cut my teeth, and then got to the point of looking after a chunk of business. And Nortel provided the switches and the switching kit that all the other phone providers use. So it was very technical. And I'd be sitting in a meeting, and the engineers would be talking about moving across from a DMS 100 to a DMS 300 or something. And I'm going, So what's the people implications of that? I haven't a Scooby-Doo. Um, and I'm not that interested in learning about it.
Mm,
So had various discussions and actually came to the conclusion that I wanted to move sector.
yeah.
So they were all very amused when I moved to Grand Met as was, which became Diageo. And the fact that I could work out alcohol, that was fine. So I then spent the next 6 years with Diageo. So brilliant company, fabulous brands, and in fact went through the merger. So I joined Grand Met, and 3 months after joining, they announced the merger with Guinness to form Diageo. It was the
Mm,
biggest corporate merger that year. So plenty to learn.
yeah, yeah. So did you enjoy your corporate career? What was it like working in that sector?
I did. I loved it. I loved the energy, the brands, the you were immersed in it, and you sort of got loyal to your brands. After Diageo, I then went to GE Consumer Finance, their credit card side of the business for a bit, and then the last 9 years of my corporate career were with PepsiCo, and that really felt like coming home again, back
Hmm.
into FMCG corporate branded, just a lot of energy, a lot of great people, a lot of forward thinking in terms of how they manage the people and the businesses. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. But ultimately, I was involved in a lot of change programs, so restructuring, changing of operating models, and I think after I did 23 years in corporate, and I was just like, golly, next year there'll be another change. And it was, I was just getting a bit stale, I think.
Hmm.
It was a bit more of same of, and quite tough changes to get buy into. And I'd always had this itch to start my own business.
Mm,
So that became the right time to do it.
yeah. So what attracted you to getting into coaching?
Again, a bit of um, fortune, really. I wanted to work with SMEs. That was my driver.
Hmm.
Um, I'd had this amazing job. I was flying to Istanbul with PepsiCo to train their HR team in organization design and change. And whilst we were flying there, I was sat next to this chap. Sometimes you get talking and sometimes you don't. This time we did. And he owned an architect practice with about 18 architects in it. And it turned out he knew absolutely nothing about how to get the best from his team.
Mm,
He had no management practices in place at all. So on this 4-hour flight, he got 4 hours of free consultancy from me. And I got a 4-hour window into the world of SMEs.
mm,
And up till then, I'd only been involved in corporates. I literally drove out the drive down the motorway to some big corporate building and came
yeah.
back home again. I didn't even, it was like a whole sector I didn't really think about how they ran and how it worked, etc. But I was so taken with his immediacy of what he would do. He was just a sponge sucking up, oh, I could do that. And then if I do that, I'll do this and I'll do that at the team meeting. Oh, I'll have one of those next week. And the speed of him implementing things
Hmm.
was just so rewarding. So I thought, actually, I want to work in the SME environment out of corporate. But when I looked at doing, okay, the obvious thing would be to be HR for SMEs.
Hmm.
But I was thinking, well, how do you go on holiday then if that's your own business? Somebody's got disciplinary and you're on holiday. You can't really say, well, hang on, wait 2 weeks till I come back.
Yeah.
Um, so anyhow, I ended up on the British Franchise Association website, and there was this button called Business Services. And I went, what's that? Double click. And it was business coaching, which I'd never heard of.
Mm,
And when I looked at it and into it, it was like, that's perfect. because in my corporate career, what I loved doing was partnering with the leader of the bit of business that I was supporting. And I was their sort of right-hand person because I wasn't a direct report and I wasn't their boss. I
Mm.
was somebody's sort of a safe pair of ears to the side, if you
Yeah.
like, a trusted advisor. And that's what I am now to my coaching clients. But I my scope has increased, so it's far more than just team, people, leadership. Now I cover everything, so sales, marketing, operations, finance. So that gave me that new energy, that new learning space, which I was looking for. So
Mm.
it was actually the perfect blend of using what I could bring from my 23 years in corporate and HR, but giving me scope for something new.
Yeah. So who are your clients now? Who are the kind of people that you like to work with?
So I work with a lot of clients in tend to be the South Bucks region, but a lot of coaching now happens on Zoom, so it can be
Mm.
anywhere. Who are owner managed, typically a team of 5+ employees, 5 to 30 employees, um, who are getting to the point where there's more team members than they can manage directly themselves. So the owner's starting to have to manage managers and
Yeah.
having to start to put a bit more structure in place. And also at that size, they're usually a million plus upwards turnover. So they've got established, there's a bit of money there that they can invest in sales and marketing, in systems to really accelerate their business.
Mm.
So people who want to accelerate on in their
Yeah.
business journey.
Yeah. And how do you help them? What sort of form does your coaching take?
So we start by getting some basics in place if they haven't already. And it's surprising how big a business can be without having things like a financial forecast, without tracking regular key performance indicators so they know what's going on in the business numerically. They don't have any, key people, a process for actually hiring people successfully, etc. So we get those core pieces in place, usually starting with I call it a business health check to see what's in place, what's not in place, and from that we can prioritize what they need to get in place. But we grow by putting in place different strategies to drive the levers of growth and profit, whether that's improving their sales processes and strategies, improving their marketing to get better leads, um, with a stronger conversion, increasing their repeat sales, making sure their financials are well controlled. They've got the credit and debit, they're chasing in the money. They're not being a unplanned bank to their clients, which some people are. So we cover all these areas through coaching sessions. So we cover a strategy, they go away, implement it in their business. We come together for the next meeting, on to the next thing. And bit by bit, we get all these things in place,
Mhm.
guided by a 5-year plan and a 12-month plan.
So how many people are you working with at any one time?
Typically, it's a 15 to 18 clients.
Yeah. And what kind of sectors do they come from?
That's the beauty of it. Literally all sorts. I've literally coached a Chinese takeaway to a 3D printer manufacturer. At the moment, I have a very high-end garden design landscaper, accountants, um, PR company. Who else have we got? Supply teacher recruitment agency. um, Really anything.
Do you find that there are, even though they're very different, do you find that the businesses have common issues that they come to you with?
Absolutely. And that's why I can coach that whole raft of different genres of business, is because businesses do operate off the same chassis, basically.
Yeah.
Um, you need to fundamentally, you need to have an offering that has a particular appeal to a particular target audience. You need to be doing it in a unique way, otherwise you're in price competition. And then you need all the fundamentals in place to allow you to, you need a team to support you, you need financials so you know where you're going, otherwise you're driving it blind. So all these things need to be in place. Now, how you put them in place varies hugely. One set of key performance indicators for one business is completely different to another business, which makes my life incredibly interesting. So yes, it's all about helping them create the standard elements you need in a business, but made bespoke to
Yeah.
the client's own business.
Yeah. Yeah. So you must have a big network now of all the people that you've worked with. Was networking something that you did in your corporate days?
No, it's so fascinating. I didn't network at all in my corporate days. And I think because I thought the only purpose would be to sort of progress my own career externally to where I was, and that felt like a bit of a conflict, doing that on sort of company time, if you like. So no, I never networked in corporate. And then I was amazed when I came out and started my own business at all the different networking opportunities that are alive and kicking in the SME world.
Yeah. So how do you make use of those opportunities? What do you like to do?
So I've done very many different flavors of networking in the last 10 years. What I've found works for me largely are the regular networking groups where there's a number of people, the same people who typically meet, whether it's monthly, weekly, fortnightly, but they meet on a regular recurring pattern. For what I do, it's generally not the people in the room who I want to work with. It's clients of the people in the room, and their contacts. So being a business coach is a very trusted role. And if somebody's going to refer me to their clients and their network, they're going to get to know me first and have confidence that I am going to represent them well. Their kudos, if you like, is going to go up and not take a hit. And I'm going to really help their clients. So for me, that takes time. I'd expect them to, have a number of experiences, probably come on some of my free webinars or seminars to just go, yeah, she does talk sense. I like her style. I'm happy to refer people to her.
Yeah. So what has come out of the networking that you've done for your business?
Pretty much all my clients. So what's come out of it are direct, and I have picked up I'm now in some networks where the members are typically slightly larger businesses. So they themselves have got a number of employees and then they have bigger clients. But so I've coached directly members in my network. I've also come out with some key introducers, should we say, where there's just a great synergy between our businesses. So it's easy to introduce to one another. And I'd say ad hoc because it's not every day somebody's client needs the coaching or is they feel in a position to recommend it. But I have a number of clients who have been referred to me from those networkers.
Yeah.
And they're the best clients to take on.
Yeah. So is networking something that you encourage your clients to do as well?
It very much clearly depends on their business. But yes, for a number of them, networking is the right solution. For some of them, it's not. If they've Or it might be a different kind of networking. So sometimes I encourage them actually, if all your target audience are gathered together in an expo, for example, then you need to go networking at the expo. So it's not, a regular group wouldn't work for them, but they need to go to particular events and do a sort of intense networking day, and that will work for them.
Yeah. So how much time do you tend to devote to networking, would you say?
Ooh, I would say an average week. So I do 2 weekly ones, so they're an hour and a half each. So yeah, 3 hours, probably, and then a monthly one, which is 3 hours. And then, of course, there's all the one-to-ones, which take time,
Yeah.
but are absolutely key. So
Yes.
I probably do 3 one-to-ones a week. Because that's my experience is the value from networking comes in what you do between the meetings,
Yeah.
not at the meeting.
Yeah.
Um,
So do you have any top tips you would like to share about networking?
yes, I've definitely got some learnings worth sharing. Firstly, be very selective. If you do the group type networking, be very selective about what group you join and evaluate that. So actually spend time to evaluate your return on investment. Yes, on money, but almost more so on time, because
Mm.
networking is a time investment, I think, generally more than a money
Mm.
investment. So are you getting the return? Know what you want to get from it. What is a acceptable amount of business ultimately, because you're doing it for a purpose? How much business do you need to get in a year from a network for that to make sense to invest that amount of time in it? And it does need time. I think if you're a higher value product you're selling, you might need a year to really get established in that group,
Yeah.
to build that know, like, trust. So it's not an instant fix. But if you've finished 2 years and you're not getting the business, then you do have to make the call and go, actually, this group maybe isn't for me. Or or analyze who is getting the business and where's
Mm.
the business flowing. So I sit there sometimes and go, okay, the people who are getting the business in this group, it's between the members. That's where it's flowing. People aren't extending it out into their
Yeah.
client
Yeah.
groups. In which case, for me, that's the case of that's not my
Mm-hmm.
group. So getting the group definitely is one, in evaluating it. And then for me, the other one is being an active participant. Having those one-to-ones and finding a way to give and support your fellow networkers. It's absolutely a two-way street.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always need to be you're helping them with a referral that's going to lead to business for them. It might be you introduce them to another introducer, or I can help them, give them some business tips. But in some way, shape or form, I'm always looking to see how can I help them.
Yeah.
You do have to give to get back, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Very sensible advice. Well, thank you for being my guest today, Helen. My last question is, if people want to know more about you or your coaching, what is the best place for them to find you?
The best place is to head online to our website, which is www.chilterncoaching.co.uk.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. And the best of luck with your business and with your networking.
Thank you so much, Liz. Absolute pleasure being here with you.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.